Well, first, let me say how happy I am to see everyone at CWG today, and particularly our federal partners. I'm really happy to see you here, notwithstanding the shutdown. Lauren, do you want to go to the next slide, please? This is our agenda for today. So I'm going to start with wait 1 second while we have one more person joining. I'm going to go down my list of attendees. If I miss anyone, please tell me. And that way we'll know who's here. I'm Kirsten Yucatel from SANDAG. Also with us from SANDAG is Lauren Lee, Bhargav Sana, Cecily Taylor, Richard Radcliffe, Sam Sanford. Oh, Ing, I never know how to pronounce your last name. Ing is also here. I'll learn how to pronounce Ing's last name for next time. And let's see, my list just shifted. Also with us, Brent Burge, Erica Vaca, John Kelly, Karishma Becca, Kevin Hernandez Rios, Michelle Duran, Nesimone Kalindiar, Roy Abood, Rusty Wisman. Oh, I omitted Ryan Williams from SANDAG before. Also with us, Sarah Thornburg, Rodney Tavatas, and then I have Vigringa, and I have someone who is just showing me S116742. Could I ask whomever that is to unmute and let us know who you are?
Hi, Kirsten. This is Maurice Eaton. I was having some trouble connecting, so yeah, just connected using my Caltrans number. Sorry.
No, that's fabulous. Nice to have you here, Maurice. I think, did someone else just join? And Michelle Smith from SANDAG is joining us right now. Is there anyone that I've missed? Okay. Well, we'll start with possible public comments. I don't believe I see anyone from the public. We are not a Brown Act body, but we do welcome members of the public. So I will just pause for a moment in case I've missed someone. And okay, well, hearing none, we'll move on to member comments. Are there any member comments or announcements? Yes, I see a hand up. Kevin Rios?
Yes, I just had a quick question about the SANDAG project list we received from, I believe, Richard. If I could just...
it's for the RTIP amendment?
Oh no.
Or
it's for
or the 2025 regional plan.
Yes, yeah. So okay. It's for our project list here that we're putting together from the NPOs.
Oh, hi, Kevin. We can talk about that afterwards. Sorry. Sorry. We have to get through this part first.
Sorry about that.
No, I completely understand. We've been in a lot of different meetings and all kind of focused on the same set of issues. So we too have been discussing that list. Any other member comments or questions? Okay. Our next agenda topic are the meeting minutes from our July meeting, which were attached and sent out. We're not going to go through those now, but if anyone sees any errors, if I've omitted someone who attended, if more detail needs to be added, please reach out to me and let me know so that I can correct those. And then our primary agenda item today is consultation. We're following up on our consultation on the conformity criteria for the 2025 regional plan. Lauren, will you go to the next slide, please? Oh, I guess we can go to the next slide beyond this too. So I wanted to just begin with a quick review for everyone of the various criteria and when they have been brought to this group. So you can see them on the slide. I won't read through them all. All of these were completed prior to the 2025 regional plan being released for public comment, I believe on May 23rd, if memory serves. And it was out for a 55-day comment period. And subsequent to that, we have been at SANDAG going through the regional plan, taking stock of comments, making corrections and changes, and we wanted to bring you that updated information today. Next slide, please. So we have 4 areas where we have new additional information to share. We have some model updates to our ABM, as is customary, and as this group knows, there are a series of rolling updates to ABM that the data science team implements. And so Bhargav and Ing have worked on that and are here to share that with us today. We also have the final 2025 project list and exempt project list. And Cecily Taylor from our regional plan team is here to give us an overview of the changes that were made draft to final, the broad implications of those changes and costs. And then Michelle Smith is here with our final revenue constrained financial assumptions, which have also shifted just a bit. And then we are here to bring you an updated approach to our emissions modeling and emissions budgets in light of the recent federal actions rescinding California waivers. There have been no changes to the regional growth forecast. There have been no changes to TCM implementation. SANDAG has already met the implementation obligations under the SIP, but we continue to implement anyway, and those remain unchanged from past consultation information. So I think that unless there's any question before starting, I'm going to turn it over to Bhargav and Ing to go through ABM model updates and give you an idea of what has changed since we brought that to you previously.
Thank you, Kirsten. If you could maybe move to the next slide. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. You might remember me and Ying from our ABM 3 update presentation back in February. I'm a manager of regional models here at the Transportation Model Development Group at SANDAG. I think I just want to briefly go over some of the updates that have been made to ABM 3 between the draft and final regional plan model runs. I just want to start with what is probably the most impactful update. The long distance truck trips into and out of San Diego are exogenous inputs to the model, and they're scaled to match FAF data projections. FAF stands for Freight Analysis Framework data that is reported at the national level, and it provides information on freight tonnage movements, which we then convert to truck trips. When this work was originally performed in the 2024 timeframe, the assumption was that recovery would be higher than average in the short term after COVID. However, looking at gateway counts in national truck tonnage data, we found that the demand was relatively flat between post-COVID and now. And in addition, the cross-border truck counts this year have been down by about 10-15%, likely due to tariff impacts. We revised our long-distance truck trips to be relatively flat until next year, and then start growing at 1% annually, as indicated by FAF projections. In addition, there were a few bugs that were found. They did not impact the VMT numbers much, but required some minor recalibration of mode shares. And finally, there's some performance and documentation updates that were made that did not affect any of the model outputs. So these are just the high-level changes between around February, when we had met we had just finished the draft model runs, and now until about last month, when we are wrapping up the final model runs. With that, I'll invite Ying to add anything if I've missed.
Thank you, Bhargav, for this very nice summary. Yeah, as Bhargav noted, those the most impactful is the long distance heavy duty truck, but that is based upon the existing data after the 2024 when we first developed the model there. Yeah, so yeah. So we
And
have
as I think you might have mentioned before, the networks, all of that have also undergone some minor updates.
yes.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Bhargav or Ing? One question. Nesamani.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, Bhargav and Hing. Thanks for walking us through this presentation and summary. Just a quick clarification question. So I know you guys use the latest data and best available information to revise this heavy-duty truck projection. How about the forecast? Like, did you guys keep the same forecast level? Like, or is the same approach you guys used, or what is the impact in terms of the long-term out year of the plan itself? Can you speak about that a little bit?
Sure. So did you mean the forecast of
the heavy duty truck proportion itself, like for the out year of the plan, like how is it changing based on the revised number in this estimate itself?
Right. So the long-term out year has not changed much at all. In fact, it's going up to 2050. It's similar. And that is primarily driven by FAF projections, which are saying, oh, roughly there's a 1% annual growth that's been assumed. And that is focused on what's flowing in and out of San Diego region. And that we have not changed.
Okay. Thank you. So it's just same the long term, but it's just only the current, based on the current data here right now. Okay.
Right. And and it progresses starting as early as 2027. And so it's just between what we were thinking in 2024 and now, we see that, oh, things have not grown as we thought they would, which was a more aggressive projection of about 2%. So that we have flattened and then kept the long-term trajectory as is.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Thanks for that clarification.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Bhargav and Ing. Lauren, do you want to go to the next slide, please? So the next update we're bringing you, and this will be Cecily Taylor, is the draft to final changes in the project and exempt project list.
Hi, everyone. So you do have the detailed track changes that was provided, but just tried to summarize some of the largest changes here. Mostly the changes we're making to projects were to reflect new information we have from planning efforts that are still underway, or some of these changes were in response to comments we received from our partner agencies in the region. We did work really closely with our partners leading up to the draft plan, so we're excited that from what I think at least, this list of changes is relatively minor, but just to highlight a few that we think maybe have the largest impact. Our partner agencies did request that we remove the project on the Coronado Bridge facility, SR 75, where there's currently one reversible lane, and we had proposed that that could operate as an HOV or HOT lane in the plan. That was recommended to be removed, and we saw it was a relatively short segment that the model did not indicate a lot of use, so it was a minor change to remove that project. We also have analysis underway looking at the SR 125 facility. That's a toll road today, and looking at when it will be possible to remove that toll. The latest cost estimates indicate that we do need that toll to remain until the later phase of the plan. So previously, we were assuming it could be removed by 2035, but one of the changes that we're making to the final plan will be that the toll needs to stay on. When looking at the transit list, we do have some new information from ongoing planning work for the rail connection to our airport. We no longer think it would be feasible to build this by 2035 as we had in the draft, so that project is delayed to the later years. And at the same time, we've added some new bus improvements that could be done in the near term to provide that connection to the airport. We also had a project planned in 2050 for this US-Mexico border transit connection. It was 2050 in the draft, but we're moving it to the financially unconstrained list, just given the complicated environment of the international border. I think it would be likely not feasible to be implemented by 2050. And again, various other minor tweaks that are in your more detailed list. In the last section here, the costs and revenues. The biggest change here is really that we consolidated the sales tax assumptions, whereas in the draft we had two separate half-cent sales taxes assumed through the years of the plan. We've consolidated that to one single 3/4 cent regional sales tax to help support our projects. So you can go on to the next slide. Those are really the major project changes. And when we look at the final cost, it's really not substantially different, where our draft plan cost came to just over $125 million. These changes lead to coming in just barely under $125 billion for the total cost in the 2024 base currency. And that's including all of the capital projects, all of the operations and maintenance, any of our programs and policies that need investment. So that was just a really high overview, but I know that you have the more detailed track changes with all of the those minor corrections that I'd indicated. Any questions on that? Again, we do think it's relatively small changes, but definitely want to make sure we can address any questions you might have.
No. Vike?
Yes, I do have a question about, can you go to the previous slide showing the revenue for the local? Can you explain the proposed regional sales tax? Is it included in the previous version? Is it financially constrained? Just want to clarify that.
Hi, it's Michelle Smith. I can answer that.
Yes.
So in the draft plan, we actually had two regional sales taxes. And it was 2038 and it was like 2042, I believe. And then on top of that, we had an NTS tax in between. So our board and of course when we went out to draft thought that that was not quite reasonable. That's a lot of tax measures in a small amount of time. And so those are actually at half cents each. When we reduced those two tax measures, we changed it to one tax measure starting out in 2038, but we did have to increase the assumption to a 3/4 cent tax in order to kind of make up for those two half-cent sales tax that we are proposing. And so that is the reason why we have now one proposed sales tax, and it is now at 3/4 cents. Before, and we still were revenue constrained. With this new sales tax, we are still revenue constrained. So we still have enough funding to cover that, because we are still also assuming the NTS half-cent sales tax as well, starting in 2038. I'm sorry.
I think that explains. When I see the word proposed, it's always alarm as, is it voters approved? Is it financially constrained? I think you explained. So as long as it's financially constrained, we are fine with that. Thanks for the explanation.
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you, Vike. And Michelle has more information on the revenue assumptions that we'll get to next. Any other questions? I see your hand still up, Vike, so I want to be sure that I don't go on to the next slides if you have more questions.
Sorry,
or maybe,
I apologize.
Okay, no, it's totally fine. Okay, well, if there aren't any more questions, we'll move on to Michelle. Thank you, Cecily. And we'll move on to Michelle's, the more details Michelle's bringing us about the revenue assumptions.
All right, is this? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so for the revenue assumptions, if you go to one more slide. All right, so the cost of implementation, as Cecily kind of did an overview, is roughly about $125 billion. As we broke down the cost, 34% of the total estimated plan cost fall under the first 10 years of the plan. And this is because, as Cecily had stated, we're implementing many near-term projects to help achieve our state climate targets. And these projects that we can implement in that timeline, of course, are a little bit more like for operations and less infrastructure heavy. We did push some projects out into the outer part of the plan, such as like a lot of our larger projects that Cecily kind of reviewed. And so that pushed about 66% of our costs out into the second part of the plan. And if you go to the next slide. And so here are estimated total revenues. So as you can see here, we have, oh no, I did update the percentages on that. That's my fault. We have a good split between state and federal. However, we do have a large local share, as you can see here. And the plan is financially constrained, as I had stated earlier. And by looking at our revenues, we identify our revenue fund sources. So we take a look at all the projects and programs and services in the plan, and we take a look at our revenue sources, and we kind of align the two. So we say like, okay, what revenues can pay for what types of projects? And we do have a page in our appendix that kind of shows how we apply the revenues to what types of projects. And then we make assumptions for the magnitude of the revenue based on historic and observed trends. So we take a look at what we've received in the past and is that consistent with what we think will continue to happen in the future. So we were a little bit more conservative in this plan. Normally we account for like big jumps in like say federal funding if we have a new infrastructure bill. But for this time around, we just kind of did a flat 3% increase year over year. Kind of be a little bit more conservative due to a lot of more uncertainty in what's going on with our funding. And we make sure that we follow current guidelines. And then we also split out between what are our core revenues. So what are the revenues that we normally get in, such as formula funding, anticipated grants, and what are some new revenues that we think that we could achieve in the long term. So we do have some new revenue sources. This is also in the appendix of the plan. And these are new revenue sources that would come in the second half of the plan. And a lot of those would be kind of locally based and sourced. We do update every fund source as we go through. We did not consider a RUC as we did in the last plan. So we are not assuming that for our local funds this time around. We consider existing continuation of future sources. Normally we take our local sales tax transnet, which is to expire in 2048, and we kind of extend that to 2050. This time we did take it out, so we do show it stopping in 2048, but we do have that additional sales tax that I talked about earlier. And then we put all this together and we do a peer review assumption. So we do an internal peer review assumption, and we also meet with Federal Highways and just say, hey, does this sound reasonable before we move forward? And that is how we have determined that our revenues are reasonable and that we do have, as you see here, we have in 2024 dollars estimated $129 billion coming in for the $125 billion of costs that we're assuming. So that is a high level of that. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions on any additional questions on revenues? Okay. All right. Well, Lauren, will you go to the next slide, please? Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so the final update we have for you is concerning our emissions model and emissions budgets updates. Lauren, do you want to go to the next slide? Okay, so this group probably remembers that we consulted and we have discussed this as a group on multiple occasions, that we modeled the 2025 regional plan using MFAC 17. We were within the grace period when we began work on the 2025 plan, and that was the MFAC that we opted for. We modeled 2026, 2029, 2032, 2040, and 2050. Now, when we previously brought results for the draft conformity finding, they reflected use of a adjustment factor applicable to MFAC 17 that has subsequently been invalidated due to the federal actions rescinding 3 of California's waivers. So for the final conformity determination, we have modeled the network changes that have already been described in the ABM3, using the ABM3 model with the updates. And we're going to show you results that do not include this adjustment factor that we usually added after the fact. You want to go to the next slide, please, Lauren? Oh, no, there should be one before this. No. Okay, well, can you unhide, Lauren? This slide?
Yes, let me get to that.
It's an exciting reveal here at CWG. We don't have enough of these. So with these changes, we are able to meet our budgets without use of the adjustment factor. And that is what we are proposing as the basis of our final conformity determination, which I want to add a caveat here that the 2050 numbers may change slightly, just due to we're just rerunning that model run due to an issue that arose during the run. So, but 2050 is not, we're not expecting any conformity issues to arise out of that. But just if anyone notices a slight difference when you get the draft determination. But I wanted to point out our early years, which are always the years that we are most concerned with, 2026, 2029, and 2032. And while we are close, we are under our budget without the adjustment factor. So I'll leave that there for just 1 second. And then go through our next conformity steps. Lauren, you go to the next slide, please. So our upcoming timeline and plan is to circulate the final conformity determination draft by the end of next week. There will be an opportunity for any additional discussion or comment at our November meeting. And then we anticipate finalizing the conformity determination, including a consistency determination with the 2025 RTIP, which will be part of the regional plan package that is submitted to our board for approval and adoption on December 12th. And then we expect to submit for federal approval upon board adoption. So that is the end of the information we were bringing you on emissions budgets and modeling, but I'll stop in case there are any questions.
Hey, Kirsten, this is John at EPA.
Yeah, John.
Thank you for that excellent description of the issues and what you've done to resolve it. I kind of missed what you were saying as far as, I think you said there was another model that you were using instead of MFAC 17. Is that the case?
No. What I was saying is that the specific run for 2050, we are rerunning just from an issue in the last model run, just an internal modeling run. But we're still using MFAC 17. It's just that we are redoing, and Ian can speak to this if you have specific technical questions, but this is just that we are redoing You know, we do these model runs and sometimes they don't go smoothly or there's an issue in the run and then we redo them. So I wanted to let this group know that if anyone noticed any slight change in the number in 2050, that was the reason why. But the timing of rerunning 2050 is going to be, it's already in process, but I don't have that to bring to this group. But it will be finalized prior to sending you the final conformity determination for your review.
Okay, thank you.
But all still MPEG 17, no other model. Sorry for that confusion on in my explanation. Any other questions or comments? Yes. Michelle?
So I have a question for, I don't know, it might be for Rodney, or anybody else on the line to help me answer this. So I know that there's been some discussions. So say this doesn't get approved, and I'm so happy for Kirsten for figuring this out on our end. But if we're still in a grace lapse period, will there be availability to do administrative modifications to the article?
That's a discussion that we're still working on. So I can't really, only thing that we really have to go by is what Federal Highways released a while back ago. But do understand that we have been in discussions with EPA, and hopefully I could answer that in the next month or so or sooner.
Okay, thank you.
We can, Michelle, see if we can bring that back. I mean, subject to Rodney having the information he needs to present at our November meeting as maybe just a discussion so everyone has the same information.
That'd be great. Thank you, Kirsten.
Any other questions on this or any other part of the information brought today? Okay, well, hearing none. Yeah, Lauren, please go to the next slide. That is all of the presentation for today and our only agenda item. Our next meeting is November 5th. And as I said, I expect that you will receive the draft determination, the final draft, next week. If there are any questions or concerns in the meantime, please reach out to me. Let me know. And if there isn't anything else, then we can adjourn.
Person that's running interviews, is there any way that I can talk with you and let's see, I think Radcliffe real quick if he's there?
Richard?
Yeah. Richard, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want us to stay on this meeting after we adjourn? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then that concludes the meeting. I really appreciate everyone's time this morning. And again, a special thank you to our federal partners.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Kevin and team, stay on real quick.